At Logan's funeral, Roman's plans for greatness go awry after Uncle Ewan unloads some heavy truths. Kendall steps into the breach, and for the second time this season, he puts on a good show. Shiv hasn't given up on getting the Gojo deal through, and she thinks she can make Menken's possible victory work for her. And while the Roys maneuver in private, protests in the streets erupt over the contested election. The opening of this episode closely mirrors the opening of the one with Logan's wake, with both Shiv and Roman surrounded by enormous windows looking down on the city. Shiv is strategizing with Matsson while Roman paces and practices his eulogy, telling the mirror that he's the man. Kendall is on his way to the church when Rava calls to tell him that the unrest in the city over the election has her nervous, and she's taking the kids out of town. I love the writing and performing of this sequence, once again. Natalie Gold. Since Rava obviously doesn't want her kids around the Roys for a whole host of reasons, and 90% of what you know about her in this moment is all the things she's not saying. Kendall freaks out and goes full Scary X on Rava and the kids, threatening to lie down in front of her car so she can't leave. A bit later, after his threats have failed, he would never get his coat dirty by lying on the street. Kendall tells a visibly uncomfortable Jess that he wants to get a lawyer and go after custody. Remember, Logan also wanted full control of his kids after his divorce even though he was a terrible parent, so if you intend to be Logan, this is something you would do. While demanding that Jess get him a family lawyer, Kendall drags it out of her that in fact, she's quitting, and when he's dragged it out of her, he blames her for springing it on him. Jeremy Strong is so good in these moments where Kendall sincerely believes he's a victim, even when he's being straight up abusive. Godspeed, Jess. Go as far away as possible. The three Sibs car ride to the funeral is a nice bookend with last season's finale in Italy. Shiv, who looks miserable, tells her brothers she's pregnant, and Roman can only make gross jokes. Oh, and just for a moment, they cross paths with the angry people in the streets, who bang on their car. As for Tom, he spends the first part of the day stuck at ATN, trying to get people to give him credit for the election call. Just about everybody is at Logan's funeral, including 4 of the women in Logan's life. Marcia, Caroline, Carrie, and Sally Ann, whose past dalliance with Logan has been darkly alluded to occasionally. Caroline spots Carrie in the pews and brings her to sit with the rest of them, explaining that Sally Ann was to her as Carrie is to Marcia. And so, the 4 women sit in a row. Logan would hate this, Caroline says. At least he won't grind his teeth tonight, Marcia says. And the next shot, where you can literally watch the amused reactions to this joke travel down the row, 1, 2, 3, before Carrie starts to cry. Impeccable. Marcia even goes so far as to put her hand on Carrie's. There's a lot of murmuring when Mencken, who may or may not be the president-elect, depending on whom you ask, arrives. The same goes for Matsson, who's trying to figure out how it plays for him if Mencken is president. Shiv has an idea, and shockingly, it serves her own interests. If Shiv were the CEO of the U.S. operations of Gojo, that might ease the regulatory concerns about foreign ownership. Of course, as Lucas points out, this would require Shiv to make nice with Mencken. I can do FG anything, Shiv says merrily. My dad just died. So there's fodder for about 8 therapy sessions right there.